Okay friends, so just a few tips on feeding your bees during a dearth. I've got a nuke here that I made a split from. It was one of those ones where I had to make a split. But if I start to feed a colony, I have to be really careful that none of the other colonies pick up the scent of the sugar water, because even if it's a strong colony, unlike this nuke, because I've got so many colonies in the bee yard, they could actually go in and destroy a colony, even if it's a strong colony, if there's enough ways to get in. So I don't want to set off the scent of sugar, so what I've done is I have a feeder jar instead of having a feeder tray. I don't want to fill the tray and let everyone else know I've got sugar in this colony. So I keep it in the jar, and I put it over the feeder hole, like this, and then I put an empty hive body over top of the feeder. And then I put my cover on. Now I don't have to worry about this colony being robbed. I've also got a very small entrance in the front, only one entrance, and it's about mid-July here in Georgia. It's very hot. Each day it's in the 90s, and it reads, I think the real feel is something like 100. So you have to be careful during this time, and this is a good tip for feeding. One real important thing to remember when you use jars is always cover them with something like this. I used an empty soup can to do that. The reason being is if you have them exposed to the sunlight, you're going to find out a quick lesson in physics. There's a little bit of air at the top, and as that air warms up from the sun hitting it, the air will expand, and then it'll start to push that sugar water out quickly into your hive. And again, that's something that I just wanted to pass along to you. I did it the hard way. I put them right on top with just holes cut in the top of my lids. I set those feeder jars out, and I was watching those air bubbles pop up and down, thinking, boy, those bees are really thirsty. Turns out that was the sun warming up the air. So just something I learned the hard way, that if it'll help you save a little time in feeding your bees, that'd be awesome. Where you going? Where you going? Where you going, Mr. Goose? Where you going? Where you going? Now just a quick note about this particular colony. This is the weakest colony in my bee yard. This is the one that I'm feeding with a jar, and I'm going to make a modification to feed a second one with a jar, because I don't want anyone to know that they've got a jar of sugar. And I don't know if you can notice it, but I'll try to zoom in here. I did see the bees chasing away some robbers. You can see a bee that's trying to get in the entrance here. There might even be a couple of them. And the guard bees won't let them in. You see that bee that's kind of buzzing around? He doesn't really belong there. And that's because when I opened the hive, that bee, he's probably a scout, picked up the scent of some of that sugar water that they've already packed in the cells, so he couldn't get in. Okay, you'll notice on this one-story nuke, it's only a 5-frame nuke, that I've closed off the entrance hole that I normally have open during the spring, and all they have is at the bottom right here. They've got a 3/4 inch, maybe it's an inch wide entrance at the very bottom on the board. That's the only entrance that I keep on the bottom. And I never have to worry about reducing it because it's pretty small already. When I want to give more space for my bees, I just keep on stacking hive bodies with the holes in them. But the neat thing about having an entrance this size, especially during a dearth, is it only takes about 3 or 4 bees to guard this entrance, and that keeps the robbing under control. And you can see there's quite a few guard bees outside, making sure that only the bees that belong here will come and go. So here's one more I want to take a look at. It's just a 1-story nuke. I want to make sure they got enough honey. That's real important now. During a dearth, you don't want them to run out. So we'll take a quick check, make sure everything looks good. According to my notes, The last time I was in here was on the 12th, and I put a note here to feed. So I want to make sure I keep feeding them as well, and I may switch them over to one of our jar feeding tops. I shouldn't say top, one of our jar feeders. I've modified a few of my tray feeders so that they can accommodate a jar. I'll show you. Normally, what I'll do is I put sugar water right here in this tray. And so this sits on top of the hive, and the bees can come in here, and they have to walk through the screen and down in order to get a drink out of the tray. That way I can take the lid off and there's no bees that'll attack me. Usually they're pretty gentle anyway, but sometimes they'll sting, especially during July. But what I did here was I modified this feeder with a screen so that I can set a jar right here. So rather than pouring sugar water into the tray, the smell of the sugar water will attract all the other bees. So with that sitting on top of the colony, they can come up to the screen, get a drink out of the pinholes that I put in my jar lid. And then they can take a drink and be fed and not worry about setting off robbing. So let's just switch out this feeder top. Q's coming over to hang out with me. Hey, Mr. Q. How's it going, buddy? How's it going? Huh? How you doing? You coming to help me? Let's check it out. Let's see if we can switch them out. There's a good number of bees. They've built up since the last time I've looked in here. So, we'll just set this here, and we'll replace that lid, feeder, with this one. And we'll get a jar going for these bees, and we don't have to worry about a small colony being robbed. So that's a good preventative measure for us. Okay, Q. There's some bees still on this feeder, so why don't we set it in front here, and then they'll figure out how to get back to the entrance. Go nice and close. How's that? Did we do it? How'd we do? We do good? Alright. Give me 5. Give me 5. Attaboy. I just want to show you one other modification that I've made to my top feeders with the trays. Because it does get so hot in Georgia, it really heats up. And I drilled a hole on the side of all of my feeders. That way the hot air that's building up in the colony can escape without me propping the tops. Sometimes I will, but if I've got sugar here, sugar water in the tray, I don't want to prop the top because then bees will come in and drown. They're really good at finding ways to drown. So rather than run the risk of drowning the bees, I just drill the hole and I keep a double folded piece of number 8 hardware cloth over the hole. That way they ventilate, and that stays. I leave these feeders on year-round whether I use them or not. And they always have ventilation for the hive. Now something else that's very important when you're in a dearth is to reduce your entrances or close additional entrances like you see here. I use one hole in each hive body rather than a big entrance board, and I just simply put corks in them, and that will help reduce robbing. This hive is bearding a lot more, all the way to the top. This hive just a little bit on the bottom. Here's something else. Here is something else that you may notice with your bees when it's really hot. Notice that they're bearding, but they're also clustering on the shadow side of the hive boxes. See how there's a long beard going up and down the side of the hive? It's in the shade. I'll show you another one. Here's one of my other hives, and there's a hole on the side of the hive body which now you can't even see because there's so many bees covering. But they've come out to cool off right here on the side. And this is fine, this is normal. This doesn't mean they're going to swarm. They're out here every day like this. I see them every day, and it's always in the afternoon and evening that they start to beard up. In the morning it's not quite as much. In fact, there's some that don't have any bees outside in the morning if it's cool enough at night. Here's one of my yard buddies. That's Mr. Q. He follows me around with his girlfriend. They follow me around in the bee yard, don't you? Oh, there's his girlfriend. Here she comes. How's it going? What you doing there, little lady? My geese have actually done quite well in the bee yard. I was a little worried about them following me out here, but they seem to be fine. They go around and pick the weeds, which is great. I haven't had to weed whack as much this summer since my geese have arrived. They help me keep my lawn nice. They eat a lot of grass. And they help keep things trimmed up. So they've been a pretty cool addition to the farm. So if you're worried about having chickens in your bee yard, you don't have to worry. I've got chickens and geese running around our bee yard. Let's see if we got some more birds here. Here's one. Alright, she's kind of hanging out. How's it going there? Alright, I got my pickpockets. Picking my pockets over here. Look what's going on while I'm trying to film. Someone is picking my pocket. That's Mr. Q and his girlfriend. They're picking my pockets while I'm trying to film a video. What are you trying to get, man? What are you trying to get? There's no money in there. No money. Gonna try to pull my buttons off, aren't you? Hey, you need to stop that. You need to stop that, buddy. You need to cut that out. Mama don't want to keep sewing buttons on my pants. And just one more summertime beekeeping tip. Make sure your bees have plenty of water that they can get to easily. This is my favorite method of giving my bees water. Is this nice bird bath. It has little built-in islands on it. And the bees come down and get a drink. We top it off once or twice a day. And once in a while, if there's no bees, even the dog or cat gets a free drink. If they don't want to drink out of their bowls, they come here. But it's very important in the summer to give your bees lots of water. Make sure they have access to it. They prefer water that's standing still versus like a stream. They do real well with this. It helps them keep their colony cool, and of course, just like anyone, they need water. So be kind to your bees, give them a bird bath, put some rocks in it so they don't drown, and you're good to go.